Welcome to another episode of the Community Broadband Bits podcast. I'm Christopher Mitchell at the Institute for Local Self-Reliance in St. Paul, Minnesota. And I'm here with the show that you might have thought you were listening to last week because the person who writes the titles for our blog posts kind of blew it. And that person is right here. Ry Marcattilio McCracken.
I did something. What did I do?
Well, I just felt like I felt like you unleashed the big guns in terms of our prediction show and used it as a title for the Blair Levin interview, which was wonderful, but was more like just sort of discussion about policy items that happened to be coming up in the calendar year. And in no way was the grand, big, huge event of our prediction show of our Community Broadband Networks team.
I get what you're saying. Well, when it's Blair Levin, I feel like he gets to take precedence, maybe a little bit. I don't know.
Ry went all 5G on us, huh?
But wait, does that mean anything?
Right. So that was Sean Gonsalves there. Or if you enjoy some different shows where he shows up, it might be almost Sean Gonsalves, but people mispronouncing your name in a variety of ways as you patiently smile into the camera.
That's right. Sean G is cool.
I feel like you're very close to being Chanji at a certain point then.
Yeah.
We have Christine Parker, our GIS and I was going to say marketing and data visualization person. I was thinking marketing because you were just quoted in the newspaper. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, that was pretty neat.
And we have Emma Gautier. And so a little struggling to pronounce it still since December. I don't know why, but I don't
closer.
I'm struggling.
If you knew that song, man, you would be fine.
What song? I have no idea what you're talking about. I don't even remember that I don't know the song.
The group. Somebody I used to know. You got to look that song up. And once that song gets stuck in your head, you'll be singing it to yourself and you'll never forget how to pronounce her last name ever again.
All right.
Gautier for the record.
Gautier. Okay, I should just try and remember that and never look at the spelling of it again.
Yeah.
How was her last name harder to pronounce than mine?
Are you kidding? Yours is just a matter of where you put the stress. All the letters show up in the proper pronunciation.
True.
I feel like the French are just making fun of the rest of us who use the same alphabet for the most part. So we have predictions that we will be evaluating again in December. And I'm curious who wants to go first with our first big prediction. Oh, and I should note that Deanne Cuellar, I'm sure, has great predictions, but this time just didn't work out for her. So we are unfortunately Deanne-less today, but she remains very much a part of the team. So who wants to raise their hand and go first? We're each going to do our boldest prediction. Christine's going to go first with the most bold, most interesting prediction. Go for it.
Okay, this is more of me trying to manifest this into happening. The FCC will improve their public data portal to give folks more control over how they're downloading the data and what formatting. So I'm putting it out there, hoping it'll happen.
And this is something that the FCC has control over. And I mean, I've never been to that data portal myself, I don't think. So it is not good right now, but you are hoping that the FCC will improve it to make it more useful to researchers.
Absolutely. Yep.
All right. To me, that seems like, I don't know, like if we're going to accept that, we have to accept the dangerous direction that fortune cookies have taken, where they no longer have fortunes. They just have weird sayings in them.
I was talking to somebody the other day about this. When did that happen? How did it happen? When I was a kid.
Yeah, it was on the order of like 15 or 20 years, I feel like. They just gave up, the people writing the messages.
These kids, these Zennials don't really know what they're missing.
So this is something I support. I would love to see the FCC improve on a number of axes, and that would be a good one to give people more access to better data and to specify it better. Who has another prediction? Sean?
I'm just going to jump out here and say this one just because I can't think of a better one. I usually have big, bad, bold predictions. I'm going to say a good one, and I'm going to say it basically so before you do. Gigi Song will be confirmed as the 5th commissioner of the FCC.
And it will happen this calendar year.
It will happen I'll even go bolder. It'll happen by February 28th.
All right, February 20th. I like that because my bet with Travis on the Connect This show is definitely right around that time where at this point I might be at triple or none that they're going to improve the broadband definition. Pretty sure I'm going to lose that bet again and have to buy Travis wings for life. And but I am committed to that as well. I think Gigi will be on the commission at that point. Any naysayers that want to break my heart right now?
I think that's probably pretty close. Maybe end of March would be a 100% lock, but end of February is pretty good. Is this year a leap year? No.
Nope, not voting
Okay,
for
you're
president. We have two people left, and then I'll go. So Emma or Ry, which prediction?
I'll go ahead. I will say, and this, I don't know if this is, I don't know. My biggest, boldest prediction this year is that the USF crumbles into dust in some way or another, and we've
That
got
is
to
bold.
deal with the ramifications of it. Will it happen? I don't know.
So if people aren't familiar, they should listen to the Blair Levin show from last week, in which we talk a little bit about that. The way that the Universal Service Fund is funded is on shaky territory, and there are courts that are potentially going to take a run at whether the FCC even can maintain it like that. And I don't know. I think its future is murky. I guess I would say that's a bold prediction, Ry. Emma.
Mine, I'll take the place of Sean being big bad negative prediction. I don't think the ACP program will reach 50% enrollment. And I don't think that the Outreach Grant program will go as far as it's intended to in terms of actual impact on the ground. So sorry, but
I think those are pretty good predictions. I mean, I think that 50% is that would be too bad. And I think you're right. When I look at how the ACP grant opportunity to spread awareness about the program and get people signed up, to me, it looked like a hassle. We know stories of lots of folks that we would have thought that would be good candidates to get that money didn't even go for it because it just looks so convoluted and complicated. On the other hand, we know of a few folks who did go for it and suffered through that application, and certainly hope that works out. But yeah, I think that's a very good prediction. I mean, I feel like if we said it wasn't going to be 75%, it's like, well, duh, of course it's not going to be 75%, but 50% is a good number to bet on.
Pressure's on, man, because I got to say, I think all four of these predictions are pretty good.
All right, so my prediction is going to be, I mean, we'll see about this. I feel like this year is going to be wild in terms of things changing that we would not expect. I think it's entirely possible that we see an unprecedented level of layoffs of tech people in the tech sector, and I think we're just going to see massive disruption from ChatGPT. I think we might see significant layoffs from call centers from the big telecoms. But I think that the biggest events that happened in 2022 came at us right at the end, where we learned about ChatGPT. We're learning new things on a daily basis right now about what it's capable of, but the ability of it to write code, and frankly, the inability of most people who work in programming to write good code, I just feel like there's so much that's about to change, and I am super excited about it. And I think if we go back for a second, the reason I'm excited about it is when the free and open source software movement launched. And they would hate me including that open source name in it. But nonetheless, the idea was that people would learn how to program, and they would be programming software that would really fit their local needs, but it was always too complicated. And now that is changing. I think the ability of like Sean to be like, I want to do this thing on my computer, and just for him to work through ChatGPT to get that working. I don't think he's there in January, but I think in December he might be there. And I say that as a guy who loves tech.
Really? Wow.
Sean loves doing stuff on his computer.
Chat GPT scares me.
I think we see Christine. I think Christine is like just doing is just like this. We're like, wait, did Christine clone herself? How is she so productive? I think over the course of this year, like the ability of someone like Christine to like use Chat GPT for like scripting solutions and all kinds of things like that. I'm fascinated at how this is going to result in short-term changes, to say nothing of long-term changes.
Yeah, I'm excited to try it out and see how I can use it to establish new workflows and stuff like that.
so I knew before that the FCC had not put out a lot of ACP materials in Spanish. And I learned today they never actually went back and fixed it, right? To say nothing of the many other languages that are commonly spoken by people who qualify for ACP. At the end of 2023, if local governments, state governments, and the federal government don't have things available in just about every language simultaneously all the time, we're doing something wrong. And that's sort of, this is like the nature of my prediction, right? Like, there's no excuse for that. There's no excuse that is not out in Spanish right now from the FCC. That's absurd. But the ability of governments to be using this in interesting ways, I just think it's going to be remarkable.
I'm just curious what Sean thinks the future of Mastodon is. Our Mastodon hero. I know it's really.
That's right. I'm glad that you brought that up, because you can call me Sean G, or you can call me Master Sean, because I am all over that platform. I love it. It's so warm and welcoming. There's a lot more engagement. Although I have seen that it's sort of plateaued, I think, in terms of engagement at this point, after what they call the Great Migration.
Has that been your personal experience, or that's what you've seen in analysis?
That has not been my personal experience, but I've seen some analysis about that, which could very well just be, I don't know if that's the right word, legacy sort of media outlets and people that want everybody to stay on Twitter, to think that, Mastodon is kind of, peaked and plateaued. I think it hasn't. There's all kinds of, there's just so many interesting things going on there, and the quality of kind of the interactions and the way it works, I just find it far superior to any experience I've had on any of the other platforms. So no, I think Mastodon will continue to grow, and they'll make some changes. There's a debate going on about whether or not they need to have a reboost or a quote toot function, like a quote, tweets and things of that nature.
I wish people could see Emma's enjoyment at you saying that.
Yeah.
I already talked about this too. It's not the first time I'm hearing it. I just really get a kick out of the toot.
So there's a couple of things I saw about that, and one of them was noting how many times Twitter was declared dead because like 85% of their users are inactive or don't post and this and that. And I can see continued engagement on Mastodon. I would have liked to have seen more growth. And today I had a feeling that some people might react to in horror. I think that people's antipathy to advertisements is misplaced. And I wish Mastodon had a mechanism for doing some kind of advertisements, not as crazy or overwhelming as some of the other social media, but the ability of firms, of nonprofits, of people to just promote ideas unexpectedly to new audiences. I think there's a value there. And I'll say, I feel like we don't like seeing the big billboards everywhere. But if you're a small business, like, I don't know how you get the word out without advertising for different things, so advertising has a role in our lives. And I worry a little bit about Mastodon if it's not going to be able to do that at all.
Yes. Yeah. It's an interesting time over there, though. Just a lot of energy. And like, as I said, the engagement, I've made some really cool connections on there already. So we shall see, but I think it'll be a continued growth over there with some changes. I think, but generally speaking, if for even more folks to come, I do think it probably has to be seen as more inviting and a little bit easier to kind of navigate when you first come. But there's no shortage of really smart people that are administering a lot of the instances, or what they call them. I found
serendipity's hard to just find stuff. Like, sure, like if you're looking for a broadband or telecom keyword or something, all right, but just there's more serendipity around Twitter in my experience. Although there's far less that's just awful on Mastodon, so that's nice.
Yeah.
So Sean, then is Mastodon stronger at the end of 2023 than it is now? Is it? Has it overtaken Twitter? Are you going to put your money where your mouth is?
No. It will not. No, it won't overtake Twitter. It'll be definitely a lot stronger. But I think right now there's something around 10 million or so users on Mastodon, with maybe several thousand accounts being added per day or something of that nature. But
that might be a little bit more. That might be a little bit of an overestimate, I think.
Yeah, but 9-10 million users right now. I mean, that's probably like what 0.1% of who's on of the accounts on Twitter. So no, it won't even come close to taking over Twitter. But there have been a lot of pretty high profile journalists that have migrated over.
And I think the Fediverse, frankly, which is like the universe of both Mastodon and then other services like that, I just got to think, I don't know that 2023 will be the year, but with Chat GPT, I think we're going to see more and more tools that are going to make it easier for people using common English to jump in and do interesting things themselves. I don't know that it's going to stick around forever like this, but I feel like we go through these cycles, and I think Chat GPT is going to lead to a cycle in which we are going to have more decentralized tools, and it's going to be imaginative. It's going to be a renaissance. And the only thing that I question is whether the electric grid will shut down, or whether the hackers' ability to use Chat GPT and AI to attack things will increase faster than defenses. But it's going to be wild. There's going to be more tools, and I think the hostiles are going to be much more powerful too. So I mean, like this whole thing with like LastPass vaults being stolen and finding out how incredibly poor some of their security was on that is just the beginning of what's going to be an even harder time for people. And just different people sharing, getting information stolen, and that information being out there, and all of us trying to decide that, if we still want to hang out with Sean after we see pictures of him, in furry costumes and things like that.
Right. And we can't close out talking about this topic without shameless plugs. At Sean Allen at newsy.social is how you find me on Mastodon, and Muni Networks has its own account as well. Muni Networks at techhub.social. So,
and I'm Community
us.
Nets at Community Nets at Fostodon, I believe.
Yes,
something along those lines. Maybe fostodon.org.
I forgot mine. I think I'm also at Tech Hub.
Christine, let's go through some of your other predictions. What other predictions do you have for us?
My other one was kind of a more we'll find out pretty soon kind of prediction, is that we will not see an extension to the challenge process, or like the allocation deadline.
The FCC will not allow more time for its charade of challenges.
Correct.
Smokescreen.
Yes.
I'm just really hopeful that it comes to light whether this was a real challenge process or not. It looks to me like there's a lot to think that this was just for show. It wasn't taken seriously. I'm hoping that we can collect more statistics, and others will be too, about what's going on and what logic the FCC uses in rejecting many of the location requests that have been put in, because we've heard some horror stories. I just don't know if it's the common or the uncommon from the FCC right now.
Yeah, folks should know by the time the show comes out, right? Because the deadline is tomorrow.
Yeah.
As we record.
Mm-hmm.
That's right. So, and I'll just say something I've been telling people, which is I think if Ajit Pai was running the FCC right now, I think that people would be up in arms and screaming about it. I think a lot of our allies would have issued press release after press release. And I think this FCC is getting by with doing a really poor job, not just of struggling with a difficult 2-2 commission, but actually engaging in dishonest claims about what the challenge processes were, particularly around the location challenges and when those had to be in to change the BEAD allocations. So I'm deeply disappointed.
Chris, they've been busy. They created a space bureau. They've had their hands full doing all the other important work out there in the world, let alone.
I mean,
totally.
They do. The thing is, I feel bad. Like there's so many people at the FCC who I think are doing a great job, and I hate just slagging on the FCC as a whole with, I don't know, probably 10,000, 100,000 employees, like somewhere between there. I don't know. Other people who are more serious about understanding how DC works would know that, but there's a lot of people doing good work, and frankly, many of the commissioners, are trying to do some good things. But I don't understand how it's 2023 and the FCC has no idea how to deal with broadband. It's embarrassing. Sean, let's jump to you.
I predict that fixed wireless, and particularly Verizon and T-Mobile's home internet service, will grow in leaps and bounds. And the cable companies will continue to freak out and will start advertising the coming of DOCSIS 4.0 and how that will revolutionize home internet access.
So leaps and bounds. Let's define what that means. I think they're in low single digits penetration right now in terms of, like, I think it's on the order of 3-4 million people have fixed wireless for their home service from Verizon or T-Mobile. I think it's probably Ry's nodding. I think that's roughly where the numbers are. Analysts suggest that it might hit 7 or 8 million. Do you think it's going to surpass that? I don't even think that's even this year. They don't think that.
Yeah, let's go bold. Let's say it's 9 million. And fun fact, I just came across the FCC's report that T-Mobile actually has the biggest broadband footprint in the country of all of the big telecom companies. Not the most subscribers, but just in terms of their coverage.
So it's a good, bold prediction. I will note that Charter has told investors that they are massively speeding up their capex. There had been talk about them doing DOCSIS symmetrical, which are that's not even what they call it anymore necessarily. I forget what it is. But doing the upgrades in the very near future, looking at over the next 3 or 4 years, I believe, to getting most of their footprint up to that. This is kind of what I was expecting, and I'm sure Comcast is probably even going to do it faster than that. So some of that is happening already. I think I'm not sure if it's entirely because of the fixed wireless or because of all the fiber that's being built, but I think some of that is kind of heading in that direction. But for the record, I think you're going to come. I'd be shocked. I would be surprised if we have 5 million fixed wireless subscribers on Verizon and T-Mobile by the end of the year. So I'm going to take the short on that.
One of my related predictions, I was gonna see what you guys thought about this is, so we know that Starry fixed internet is in some trouble. They were considering their options at the end of last year. They've got some variety of assets, both physical assets and some spectrum stuff. Does T-Mobile buy Starry? I mean, we're not talking about a ton of subscribers here, 50, 60,000, 70,000 subscribers, but
I think it's like 80,000, or it was before. As of this second, they're trading at 3.5 cents per share.
That's down from their IPO of $10.
I didn't actually track it very much back then, but it's definitely.
So you're saying so in the Wolf of Wall Street, they'd be getting sold on the pink sheet, whatever they call those things?
Yeah, it's I mean,
penny stocks.
I have no idea who's likely to pick it up, but I'm curious to see.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know either, but I assume we'll see sooner rather than later.
Yeah, I would think so. I frankly would have expected it before now. So
Same.
Very curious.
Yeah, they voluntarily defaulted on all of their RDOF awards back in the middle part of the fall as kind of a prelude to this, and laid off a whole bunch of staff, and now it's just kind of been radio silence for the last 2 months.
Yeah, Carl Bodie wrote a story about summarizing some of this stuff where we've seen these high-profile wireless flameouts. And I think it's good that we published it. I was the one that actually, I mean, to be candid, like, I thought that this would be a good story, and I asked that we would pursue it. I'm nervous about it because there are fixed wireless companies that are doing well, but I feel like it is worth noting that a lot of the hype has blown up in terms of what they said they were going to be doing. They pivoted. They spent I assume in the hundreds of millions of dollars to end up with like 80,000 subscribers or something like that, and split across a bunch of different states. And at the same time, one of the companies that didn't make it into that story was Common in the Bay Area, which also was super bold and then just kind of disappeared and gave their network, which was in sort of a sad state, to sold it to Monkey Brains, I believe. And Monkey Brains kind of tried to patch it up, and I think even took a hit to their reputation as they were doing so. I think some of the shine is coming off of some of the wireless claims. Wireless technology is getting better, but I feel like the hype is becoming even more detached from reality, due to the pressure of trying to get access to federal funds. I hear people talking about like how, oh no, wireless can totally do like gigabit symmetrical to the residents now. And it's like, yeah, maybe like one home, but not all of them in a given area. It's certainly not in a very rural area where you don't have line of sight, but some of the boosters are just really out ahead of their skis, I think, on this.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a shame too, because I feel like if folks just focused on the things that matter. So I've got some friends who live out in the Boston area. They've got used Starry for either their home or their business, and they're just excited to pay $50 or $55 a month for, and they rarely know what speed they have, but probably 50 megabits symmetrical or 75.
I wasn't surprised if it's in the hundreds of megabits. You got NetBlazer out there, which is similar but run by folks that I've known longer, and I mean I'm partial to them, but it seems like they're delivering hundreds of megabits wirelessly, for a similar price point.
So it seems like a missed opportunity to talk about cost instead of trying to match even the cable providers on speeds. That there's a
well, and that's why I keep saying I think the wireless. I don't know this in 2023, but I think the future of wireless is not that rural carrier of last resort. It is providing competition in areas where often there might be a cable or a fiber monopoly that's not holding up the ability of people to build a small scale network to compete. I think that's going to be a really great role for wireless moving forward.
Mm-hmm. I will say that Carl Story did get some really good engagement on Mastodon and on LinkedIn with some really good commentary, actually, even from some pro wireless folks.
Oh, I didn't even see that. You should. So that's the thing that I'm missing, that I feel like I don't have a good way of getting.
I was just going to ask if there was anything unique about Starry's business model. Like, were they primarily doing MDUs, or was it just like a traditional
single family home, high speed, low cost access, and run by a person, by all accounts, was good in business and an amazing engineer. And I think they just, it's the same thing that I said about Google Fiber back in the day when they crashed and burned. You have this thing that works well, and you think, all right, well, we're doing it well in a city. Why don't we do it in 30 states next year? It's like, that's not a good it's not a good idea. You got to grow more organically and without this idea. And this is where, this is my criticism of the private equity buying all the fiber companies, is they all want to turn them into Starry, right? Like they're like, oh, this company's doing great. Like, what if we gave it 10x the capital? Well, probably it's not going to achieve 10x the returns. Instead, it's going to more than half of them are going to crash and burn through the pressure of trying to figure out how to ramp up at that speed, I think.
Yeah, I think Starry's problem was when they went public, they needed a huge infusion of cash, and they ended up getting a lot, but not nearly as much as they had hoped or needed to sustain the growth that Chris is talking about. So whether that's something that you could translate across the whole fixed wireless market, or we're talking about apples and oranges here a little bit.
Sean, did you have any others?
Let's continue with the bold. Let's say 12 cities will commence a municipal fiber to the home project this year.
Obviously, I think you're not breaking ground, but you mean committing to it in a serious way?
Committing to it, meaning yes, yeah, not just doing a feasibility study or having meetings about it, but moving forward with financing. And
12.
And yes,
I think you're on the low end there, my friend.
I do too. So okay, what are you going with, Ry?
I'll come up way over the top of you. It just so happens that right now I'm doing a whole bunch of stress test data entry stuff for our new municipal and community network database software platform, and I'm going to say, oh man, I wasn't prepared for this. I'll say 40.
Whoa!
I'll say 40.
I had 20 written down.
I'm gonna say 33.
All right.
Emma, what number would you like to make right as I come in at 39 or something like that?
23.
All right. Well, I feel like I probably have the worst prediction there.
Sean was 12. Chris is 20. Christine's 33.
Emma's 23.
Emma's 23. Okay, man, I'm 40.
Yeah.
We'll see.
I hope you're right, Ry. I hope you are right. But wow.
Any last predictions, Sean?
Here's a bold one. Our new website will be unveiled in the beginning of this year.
All right.
Muni Networks.
Yeah, for people that don't know, I when I was working on this, I'd hoped it would be unveiled in January 12 months ago. So I congratulate Ry and Sean for picking it up and moving it what appears to be over the goal line finally, but I did not get it done.
No, congratulate Ry and just thank me for not sinking the whole thing along the way.
Well, Ry, I'm glad you were able to still smile about it despite tagging along apparently a self-admitted boat anchor here on the screen with you.
Yep, it's it's been a fun process. I look forward to never ever doing it again.
Yeah, so for people who are curious, we are making the jump from I believe Drupal 8 to Drupal 10. And that Drupal 8 to Drupal 9 jump is a significant one. And I am perhaps unreasonably committed to preserving old content and stuff like that, and really understanding why other people let that go when you look at the costs. But we think it's important to maintain this content for the history, and so we are we kept it around, and I think we've pulled it off.
I wanted to make that prediction because I appreciate salespeople, but on LinkedIn, my inbox gets blown up often with sales pitches from folks that want to offer to build us a new website, and we're good. So spread the word.
Ry, predictions.
Maybe not that bold to say we're not going to see a new basic broadband definition this year. FCC is going to be busy with, or they will be, my air quotes here, busy with satellite stuff or spectrum stuff. They'll be busy with map stuff, especially I think the second half of their year is going to get blown up by map stuff. They'll be busy with digital discrimination. So I think even though now is a prime time to do it, we won't see an upgrade to that basic broadband definition.
I think that before June, we'll see it upgraded to 100 by 20, and I think it'll be fairly quiet and not controversial.
Interesting. You think so? It'll just be like an issuance out of the FCC,
basically.
Which would say something, right? Since we've gone how many 7? It'll be 8 years since the latest.
Well,
update.
and I think the folks who might ordinarily oppose it will just be happy it stays there. When I think, didn't we just see, is it Britain where there's a presumed right now to 100 megabit per second and
gigabit to every new household single premises construction.
Yes, gigabit. Yep.
Yeah, and I mean, it just I recorded a conversation with Rudolf Vandenberg, who tracks this and does a lot of great analysis in Europe. That show's going to run after this one, and I was just blown away kind of at how ambitious and how far ahead many of the European countries are to us, even in rural areas. My sense had long been that Europe, had some areas where the rural areas were left behind, and that's still the case. It's one of the things that I found very interesting is the great variance across Europe. But it's clear that we're falling further behind than I thought we were than Europe.
I have one more prediction. I predict that even this particular crazy Congress is going to pass a bill that I think was submitted in the beginning of the year to exempt broadband grants, give them tax exempt status.
I don't think it's happening. I hope it does, but I don't think they're going to do it.
I'm with Chris on this one. I think.
Emma, predictions.
Yeah, I have a couple of data ones. I think in terms of the broadband label, I think we'll see providers start to use it. But I think that it's not going to be easy to find or available at all for all providers. I think enforcement will be weak, which I think is something I said last year. The most ISPs have 6 months after the rule is finalized to publish it. Small ISPs have 12 months. I don't know how to measure this, but I don't think small ISPs are going to need that much extra time to publish that. And then the ACP data is also coming down the pipeline. And I think that data will be helpful. Maybe it's something we can add to the dashboard. I don't know. I have to talk to the team, but I think it's not going to be super granular. That's a pretty safe prediction because provider privacy concerns have already been voiced. But I think it'll be interesting, but not super, super relevant. And things like whether a customer is whether the ACP benefit is being used for a first-time subscription, which would be super useful to know because we could determine if the program is actually helping people get signed up for the first time. That data, it looks like it's not going to be collected in this round or in this particular instance of data collection. So those are all kind of safe, but yeah.
I can't believe you just used the word dashboard. It's a dirty word in this Zoom room.
It had to come up at some point.
I did see the RDOF dashboard getting some love on the socials. Ry, I assume that you put out a post about the latest data dump.
I did. I took credit for it, even though Christine did all the work, which is the way I like to do things. So our RDOF dashboard has now been updated. No new authorized funds going out in the last month or so since middle of December, but we're at 91% of that first round of RDOF being dispersed or defaulted on. So we're getting close to the end there.
Regarding the broadband labels, I will be curious to see if that changes at all with 3.2 commission, if they come back to it, if they're just going to be scrambling to try and do some things. The fact that they have like 1 year left, basically. Obviously, there will be additional time. Could be, but traditionally, this is the year where the year after an election is where you'd expect the FCC to do most of its work. I think that one municipal preemption will be weakened. I say that because I'm not even sure that it will fall. Last year, we didn't have any changes in municipal preemptive laws to stop cities from being able to build their own networks or partner. The year before that, we had 2, which was a real shock and first time we'd seen that happen. But I think that this year we could see that. I mean, there's already been a bill introduced in Nebraska to weaken their very strong language, stopping cities from solving their own problems.
So, Chris, I have you at 16 by the end of 2023.
I don't know if this is allowed. I like that we revisit this, the state preemption. I'm going to say that 3 states don't get rid of them, but they pass laws that weaken them.
Yeah, and technically that's what I'd said, Ry. So 16 or 17 would work for me. But okay. I think that's the right language, Sean.
So in other words, I think the number will remain 17. It's just that I think in 3 states they'll be tweaked in such a way that will give local communities a little bit more latitude.
Christine?
I'm going to say 2.
Emma, you don't have to pick a unique number. You could just agree with me.
Yeah. I'll agree with you, Chris.
You can't agree with Christine or Sean, only me.
I'll take the path of least resistance.
Yeah, pick an unreasonable number or go with your boss. Right?
I'll go a little stronger. This kind of weaken the laws, but those laws will still be there. It seems like a little bit of a having your cake and eating it too kind of thing. I'm gonna say our number at the end of 2023. You guys are all saying the number will be 17 still, but we'll see some movement. I think our number will be 15 at the end of this year.
Whoa!
Right.
I think we'll see some. I think we're going to see more movement in 2024 as the BEAD money actually starts to flow and states are woken up to the fact that some of these laws are still on the books and localities begin to yell louder and louder for solutions to problems that have existed for a long time. But I think we'll see two drop off the list this year.
Ry must have had some energy drinks before this podcast because he's bold all the way through, boy.
This is the new Ry 2023. I grew a mustache, and
I was just about to say I was wondering if should we make a prediction about whether or not you were going to lose the stash or keep it, or
It's a good question. You'd have to ask my wife, I think.
Well, by the end of the year, we won't be able to hear his voice. It'll just be muffled by the stash. My last prediction is somewhat vague, and you all can. I throw myself on the mercy of your court as to whether or not it's sufficient. At least 2 major disasters with states in broadband, where the state broadband office just blows up, or there's a major scandal, or just something real ugly around how the states are handling it, or super embarrassing.
I was thinking about this too, especially in terms of like the plans that they have to put together for BEAD. Thinking maybe like they would ask for big extensions or something.
Yeah, I'm curious what an example of a scandal would be, Chris, or a big blow up. Are we saying like Minnesota says, we just don't want to deal with this. Charter, you get all of our money. Because I think some people wouldn't consider that all that bad.
And then, first of all, probably not allowed by NTIA, but I think, and then basically there being like a clear example of quid pro quo corruption around that.
Okay, interesting.
I mean, we do have a not so far back in the history. It was AT&T was caught bribing someone, and it was like, oh no, we don't do that regularly. I mean, our system makes legalized bribery easy enough. I don't know why you would necessarily go back to bags of cash. Seems a little bit unnecessary, but I think and similarly like a state just basically being like we lost all the people we had that were trying to do it. I think we've seen indications of this. The amount of money that is available in the private sector for people that have these skills, the limited amount of money in the public sector to do this, and then the stress of trying to comply with all of these rules and holding everything together while you are being attacked by lobbyist after lobbyist for different interests. It's not an attractive job. And I don't know if that we have enough people to fill those roles who just recognize the importance of this, of generational investment, and want to suffer through it.
So it's interesting. They get till 2026 to spend all that money. Do I have that right?
Well, for BEAD, I think it has to be committed, right? And so it has to be like the sub-grantees, who are the states, will have to like get that out the door. But if a city or a private company gets that money, they would have longer to actually finish spending that money on the equipment and labor and stuff like that.
Right. Okay. So what you're saying is that the dearth of broadband policy and grant literacy talent at the state broadband office level is going to persist for at least another 2 years.
I think that's going to be true. I mean, I think it'll get a little bit better over time, but I think in this year, you might see like an entire broadband office like basically get a vote of no confidence by its employees who all leave. Or something significant like that, where the office is just not able to operate at that point.
Or CostQuest license scandal.
Oh. Boy, I tell you, if we could understand exactly what happened with the FCC and CostQuest, I feel like that would be a scandal if it wasn't just all hidden behind contracts and stuff.
That'll be my prediction.
Geez, if we could get somebody to send the right license to us so we could sign it and get access to the fabric, that would be fantastic. But
well,
it's
Christine, do we have access to it yet? We've signed the paperwork, right, to have access to the fabric, but
we don't have access to the fabric yet because of the minutia of sending the licenses back and forth. But the process of getting access and signing the license, which should be relatively straightforward, is absolutely not.
So that's where, because one of our allies was like asking around, like, has anyone actually completed this and gotten access to the fabric? And I was like, oh, I think we did. Only it turned out that we had just signed the papers and nothing had actually happened yet. So it was a status I guess everyone else has. So, yeah.
You said I like where you're going with this. You said 2 states with scandals.
I said 2 scandals.
2
major disasters is how I phrased it.
Oh, 2 major disasters could be in the same state.
Could be, yeah.
Okay.
Like Illinois could blow up twice. And I just
pick
on my friend Matt, who's the head of the.
Okay, so not so much states, but number of scandals of that order. This is America, man. There's 50
it could be
states.
like Puerto Rico could be one. I mean, like could be
right. Well, that's what I'm trying to say. This is America. There's 50 states. Only 2 scandals. You're way lowballing it. Way low.
I think I might be, and that's where you could tell me that. It'd be like, dude, like there's gonna be 10, and we can talk about this.
I'll put it at 6, and then as a little footnote, the silver lining will be that as it relates to state broadband offices, that 2 states will put some kind of law on the book to discourage bad challenges, similar to what Colorado.
I would love to see that. Yeah. Let's say one of the ways that we would know if it is a major disaster is if non-tech press covers it, right? So that's one of the things we'll be looking for.
Got it. Ooh, I you know what? I'm going to stick with 6. Forget it. You know why? Because I will be pitching the what out of stories like that if there are 6 and they're not getting mainstream coverage.
Why is this guy, one of the reporters gonna be like, why is Master Sean keep bugging me about like this penny ante scandals, trying to get me to blow him up?
Right. Like, I got a bet on the line, man. Pride.
It's gonna be an interesting year. I think that's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I feel like we're going to see a lot of good stuff and we're going to see a lot of bad stuff. And I just encourage people to keep that perspective, right? I mean, we live in some remarkable times where it's easy to fixate on bad things that are happening, things that are scary about the future of some of our communities, of our nation. But at the same time, like just the progress that we've seen in terms of more humans being treated with dignity in this country, like I feel like there's a lot of good things going on too. So we're going to see that in broadband. We're going to see some really nasty stuff, I think. And we're going to see some really great stuff as we bring more people the ability to be on the internet effectively.
Well said.
Looking forward to the year with y'all. And thank you all for coming out for the show today.
We have transcripts for this and other podcasts available at muninetworks.org/broadbandbits. Email us at podcast@muninetworks.org with your ideas for the show. Follow Chris on Twitter His handle is @CommunityNets. Follow MuniNetworks.org stories on Twitter. The handle's @MuniNetworks. Subscribe to this and other podcasts from ILSR, including Building Local Power, Local Energy Rules, and the Composting for Community podcast. You can access them anywhere you get your podcasts. You can catch the latest important research from all of our initiatives if you subscribe to our monthly newsletter at ilsr.org. While you're there, please take a moment to donate. Your support in any amount keeps us going. Thank you to Arnie Hughesby for the song Warm Duck Shuffle, licensed through Creative Commons. This was the Community Broadband Bits podcast. Thanks for listening.